Hello students, my name is Iris Franz, 我叫林婉如. Today we're going to talk about elasticity and revenue. In particular, this is from Varian chapter 15.7. So here we have original price and quantity, and that's the original revenue. So you can see that's the price and that's the quantity. We were at point A. Now suppose the price goes up and the quantity demanded will go down. So the new point is B. And we can see the new price is P plus delta P, and the new quantity is Q plus delta Q. Notice that your delta P is greater than 0, and your delta Q is less than 0. So our new revenue will be R prime, which is equal to P plus delta P times Q plus delta Q. So graphically, you can see that when we're moving from point A to point B, you are losing the red block of revenue, but you're gaining the blue block of revenue. So we're trying to see whether our revenue is going to go up or down. So here is our new revenue R prime. After you multiply P plus delta P and Q plus delta Q, you will be able to expand it like that. And notice that Varian tells you that delta P times delta Q is very, very tiny and small. So you can just kind of neglect that. It's not going to change the answer. So here's your R prime after you expand that and you neglect delta P times delta Q. You are left with P times Q plus P times delta Q plus delta P times Q. And notice that this is positive and that's negative. So is our revenue going to go up or down? We're going to see whether R prime, that's a new revenue, minus R is a positive number or negative number. So that's our delta R, that's a difference in the revenue. Now if delta R is greater than 0, then we know our revenue has gone up. But if delta R is less than 0, then we know our revenue has gone down. So asking if revenue goes up is the same thing as asking if delta R is greater than 0. And when you're asking if delta R is greater than 0, it's the same thing as asking if delta R divided by delta P is greater than 0. We know that here in this example, your delta P is positive. And therefore, if I divide both sides of this inequality by delta P, it is not going to change the direction of the inequality. So I'm asking if delta R divided by delta P is greater than 0. So we know delta R is equal to P times delta Q plus delta P times Q. So I'm asking if this guy divided by delta P is greater than 0. And you can simplify that. On the left hand side, it's just this guy. I didn't change anything. And here, delta P divided by delta P is just 1, so we're left with Q. So I'm asking if P times delta Q divided by delta P plus Q is greater than 0. And now I'm dividing both sides by Q, and we know Q is a positive number, and therefore again I'm not going to change the direction of the inequality. So dividing both sides by Q, I'm asking, notice that this guy, I'm dividing that by Q, and Q divided by Q is just 1. So I'm asking if this guy plus 1 is greater than 0. And what is this guy? It's just elasticity here. So I'm asking if elasticity plus 1 is greater than 0. And I'm moving this 1 to the right hand side. So I'm asking if your elasticity of demand is greater than negative 1. And notice that elasticity of demand is always negative. So on the number line, I'm asking, hey, is your elasticity of demand somewhere here? Is it greater than negative 1, right? So that means when I'm asking if your E falls into this region, I'm asking if the absolute value of your elasticity of demand is between 0 and 1. Now this brings us back to our principles of microeconomics. When your demand is inelastic, that means the absolute value of your elasticity of demand is between 0 and 1. And that's when your price and your revenue goes in the same direction. So here, when your price goes up, your delta P is greater than 0. That means your delta R is also greater than 0. So, we remember the example of inelastic demand. That's when, say, if the product is a necessity, such as an EpiPen or insulin, when the price goes up, your total revenue will go up. Why? Because without this drug, people are going to die, and therefore pharmaceutical companies are usually very keen to increase their price because they know their revenue is going to go up. So that is the elasticity in revenue. I hope this helps, and I'll see you next time.